Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now what we are here today to look at, something that's new to me, and that is the Armytek Dobermann Pro flashlight. Now Armytek are a German company that have been around for a long time, so they're certainly not a new company, but their products are definitely new to me in that respect. And I mean, spoiler alert, you know, there's one thing that you can always say about the vast majority of German products when it comes down to the excellence, the manufacturing, and just kind of the efficiency of them. And I think this is a shining example of what the Germans do very well. This is a German designed light using components from the US and Japan that are manufactured in China by a factory owned by the Germans. It's their own factory rather than, you know, sending this out to another company, so they can stay on top of their own compliances and make sure that everything is quality controlled to the high level that the German people put on themselves, and I suppose to some extent the rest of the world put on German products as well. And yeah, I mean, I suppose this is a bit of a spoiler alert, considering this is the first of Armytek's products that I have looked at. I'm incredibly impressed with this. Now, as I usually, well, actually, no, before, I was just about to say, as I usually do, let's turn the camera around. The first thing, which is incredibly important for me to do, is to say thank you for sending this to me. So this was sent to me. I say this and I always make sure, and I always hope, and I want to believe that people believe me when I say this, but whenever a company gets in touch and asks if I'd like to have a look and, you know, test one of their products, I always say it is. I'm just incredibly humbled that somebody would reach out to my channel and ask for my opinion, or for me to voice my opinion on one of their products. So I'd like to give a huge shout out to the team at Armytek. A huge thank you. I'll leave all of their links below as I usually do, so give them a good shout, give them a follow on the social medias. But for now, let's turn the camera around and take a closer look at the Dobermann Pro from Armytek. So here we have the Dobermann Pro from Armytek. Now I'll give you a quick glance at the box just in case there are some details on here that you want to maybe pause. We've got some of the measurements in here, length, here's the weight. I suppose the important thing to mention about this, especially when it comes to its IPX rating, so it's IP68 rating on this. But they've gone the extra mile just to test what extremes that you can get from this, and it can be submerged up to 25 meters for 5 hours, which, I mean, that's quite good. Generally, you tend to get where they say it's it's IP68, that it can be submerged up to a meter for 30 minutes. So they've gone that extra distance just to make sure that, you know exactly what it does. Now I did mention the length on this, so it comes in at 150 millimeters and it is 33.5 millimeters. Now the 33.5 millimeters is the widest here at the head. Hopefully you'll be able to see it does slim down as it comes down onto the actual shaft or the barrel of the body here. It comes down to roughly 25 millimeters, which is, it's just about an inch. Couple of other noticeable points on here as well. So with the battery in there, it comes in at 164 grams. It's 114 grams when it's not on there. As far as the body is concerned, you can see it is a full metal construction. Now, what I'm going to do is just going to bring in another light here for a second. So here is the Phoenix TK16. So the way that this is finished, it's got this really nice kind of reflective. I say reflective, whatever the finish on there. I know it's anodized. Anodized, that's it. Anodized is something in your throat. And then you have this knurling along the barrel here to give you an extra grip. The way that Armytek have put a finish on this, so it's almost as though it's bead blasted. I don't know whether they've bead blasted it to get this finish and then anodized it, or whether it's the finish on here that gives it this. So rather than having any sort of kind of aggressive knurling on there, in fact, I'm just going to take my glove off to do this. But rather than actual, I think we're just going to have to focus. But rather than actual knurling on the light itself or on the barrel of the body here, the textured finish that you get on this is actually really nice, and it's quite grippy. So whether this is wet or dry, automatically you do get quite a nice hold on here. Towards the head there is this I suppose serrated part on here as well, which does give you an extra grip. Now when we look at the user interface on here, there's definitely a reason why this has been put on here as well, just to aid in that grip. And then also included, you get one of these little tactical rings as well, so that you can actuate it with your hand should you need to be holding your hand in such a way. I can't imagine why you would certainly need to hold something like that, or maybe have this in your left hand whilst you do that. Can't imagine of a reason why you would need to do that. As far as the construction is concerned, okay, so across the top here you also have a secondary strike bezel on there, and then when you look into there, hopefully you can see there is a very, very deep reflector. That mainly comes down to the fact that this is, as far as lights are concerned, this comes in as what we would consider a thrower. The candela on this is exceptionally high, and this will throw up to 368 meters. Now that will be on its full lumen output. The full lumen output, or at least the max or turbo output on this, is 1,500 lumens. And there are a few different steps, and again we will have a look at this. You have the way that they, rather than low, medium or high, they call them main 1, main 2, main 3 and then turbo, and again we'll have a look at that. There's also, which I think is very good on this as well, because it predominantly it should be used as a tactical light. However, it can also be used as an everyday EDC light, so you have two separate modes should you want it to work predominantly as a tactical light, and that is how you will use it. Then you can keep it in its tactical mode. If you want to use it as a day-to-day light, they call it the hunting mode. But really, whether you're using it for hunting or whether you're using it for just general EDC, that's really the mode that I think most people will probably tend to use. When it is in the tactical mode, it just uses turbo and main 2, whereas when you use in its hunting mode, then you can use it with main 1, 2 and 3 and the turbo modes as well. In fact, at this moment in time, I have it on its tactical variant, so it's very easy to be able to switch between turbo and the strobe function on here. Towards the end here, hopefully you'll be able to see. So if I just bring this, I forgot to mention as well. So it also comes with the general things that you tend to assume that these sort of things will come with. The little kind of sheath that you get with this, it's a very nice kind of Gucci sheath, very high quality, rather than some of those throwaway ones that certain companies will just kind of put in to say yes, it definitely comes with one of those. Yeah, nice, very nice kind of materials, but also you get a magnetic proprietary tail switch. Now, there was a point where I wasn't really into proprietary tail switches, and I wouldn't say I've been critical of them in the past, but I've started to appreciate the fact that it's great to have a USB Type-C on there. It's very useful to be able to have one of those. But through talking to you guys through the comments section, I know a lot of you have said, it's actually really nice just to have something that will always just clip on, whether you've got dirty hands, whether you're worrying about dirt and debris getting into the light. especially if you have to unscrew something to be able to reveal that section, which will change its dust and debris or dust and water rating. I get that there is a time and a place for you to be able to have these. It does come with one of these nice magnetic chargers, rather than the magnetic chargers that you tend to get with Olites that are completely flat. You'll notice on this one, when I tilt it over like that, that the on and off button does protrude ever so slightly. Doesn't mean that if you drop it, you know, I can bang this every now and again, it will turn on, but when you drop it, it certainly doesn't turn on. But it just makes it that extra little bit easier for you to be able to get your thumb around to be able to actuate that. It also means as well, if you're holding it using the tactical ring, just being able to push it against your hand like that will be able to turn it on as well. There are no protectors around it like you tend to get with some lights, so being able to find whether you just manage to get your thumb on it or you manage to get it so it's perfectly on there, it's certainly very easy to be able to get that. But what you'll see in the chargers, as I turn this over, there is a recess that clicks onto. What that means is, as far as having this so that it will slide off, it just doesn't slide off. It's on there, and it's on there fast. Whilst it's charging, it turns red, and then when it's fully charged, it turns green, so that you know that it is completely charged. This can also be affixed to a rifle. We'll have a look at the internals in a section to show you some of the things, the advantages that they've added to this. But rather than with others where you have to have a separate tail cap for you to be able to add on a remote on and off switch button, with these it will use a similar one to this to be able to attach this, so you certainly don't have to worry about that. It also means that you don't have to mess around with the light too much when you're moving them to and from a rifle. On the inside, I can take off the tail, or at least the switch cap here, unscrew this. I know I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to engineering and some of the tolerances that are in there, but I will say when you start to put this on, that's just about half a turn. The tolerances in the thread on this are incredible. There's absolutely no play whatsoever on those, and it is charged, or at least it uses an 18650 3500 milliamp hour battery. One of the big things that Armytek promote with this is, if you got an 18650 battery, bang it in and it will work. The only one that I have found that doesn't work, because I know that they use of their own proprietary style batteries, is an Olite. So I have put an Olite 18650 battery into this, turned it on, and what you'll find is it will just flash. There is internal circuitry within this that says I'll turn on, but that's it. There's whatever, well, I'm not even going to pretend that I know what it is in there, but it will make sure that it just comes on to say, and when I say come on, it just flashes, a single flash, and it won't turn on. But within here, there is a really good strong spring at the end. If you can see it, there is also a secondary spring in there as well. So certainly if you're concerned about tactical lights that have been used on rifles in the past, because of the inertia and the recoil of these lights being forced forwards and backwards. In fact, I can take the head unit off here as well. Let's just unscrew this so I can show you the insides here as well. Here we go. I just don't want the battery to fall out. You can see that there is a secondary spring in there as well to be able to dampen that recoil, to make sure that if you are firing a rifle, that the light will have a constant stream. Now, let's get onto the actual UI, or the user interface with this. Now, I have already said, so put my hand in front there, you can see that there is a on and there is an off. While it is off, you can do a half depress and it will momentarily come on, and then you can do a full depress and it will stay on. The button on the end here is exceptionally quiet, and I know it's something that Armytek definitely talk about in a lot of their literature as far as being able to actuate this without any noise. And it is. Now, I wouldn't say some of these other lights are particularly loud, but there is. If I bring this up, this is the Nightcore. Where are we going? This is the Nightcore P23i. So there is. You can certainly hear a click. Whereas compared to the Dobermann, hopefully the microphone will be able to pick that up, but there is a noticeable difference. You can, at arm's length, it's very difficult to hear this one. At arm's length on this one, there's definitely a click there. So the main feature of this is that you have that tail click, and that will turn it on and off. In fact, that is the only way that you can turn this on and off. To skip between the different modes, now I did say, so there are these different luminosity levels. So you have main 1, you have main 2, main 3, and turbo. Now main 1 on this is 40 lumens, and you'll get 32 hours from a main charge. Main 2 is 120 lumens, you get about 12 hours. Main 3 is 300 lumens, where you'll have 5 hours, and then turbo is 1500 lumens, where you'll get 1 hour and 33 minutes. But there is definitely a step down or a kick down on that. After 3 minutes, it will then drop down to 710 lumens. But so they're the different modes. At this moment in time, this is in the what mode is it? This is in the tactical mode. So when it's on, you hopefully you'll be able to see the head unit. So the head unit does move freely. At this moment in time, it's closed. So while it is on, in fact, I'll put it on. If I turn it an eighth of a turn, oh, wrong way, you'll see now that it's engaged in the strobe mode. So that's how you turn from full beam to strobe. It's just to give that a turn. They're very specific. All you need to do is just an eighth of a turn. I'd probably turn it a little bit more, but if you were to turn it more, it certainly doesn't matter. It just means you've just got to turn it an extra little way further back to be able to close it. When it is in the tactical mode, it will use the turbo, which is your 1500 lumens. If you want to then drop it down to main 2, which is 120 lumens, you do your eighth of a turn and then turn it back, and you'll see now that the luminosity level on that has just dropped. If you want to then put it back into turbo mode, turn it and then turn it back again. As long as you do that turn, similar to like some other lights have it, where you just have to click the end, turn it off and turn it back on again within a second, it will then be able to switch between those two modes. If you want to put it into, as mentioned, into the strobe mode, you just do that eighth of a turn, it'll put it into strobe mode. Now similarly with the other modes where if it's on fully closed, you do an eighth and then turn it back to fully closed. When it is in its strobe mode like this, if you now want to go down to the main 2 strobe mode, you close it, turn it back again, and you'll be able to see that it's now dropped into its lower mode. If you want it to go onto the full mode where you've got continuous light, just make sure that it's closed again, and you'll see that it will return back to turbo in its full mode. I wasn't too sure about this, and when I first got it, I thought, this is just completely different to how other lights do it. But thinking about attaching this to a rifle, now some of the other lights that I've tested in the past where you can attach it to a rifle, I often find that trying to find those other modes, because you'll have a button that's around somewhere, you're trying to find it. It might be that there is a tail cap that has to have been removed, and then the secondary button was on that tail cap. Having to have this, you can aim it downrange. If it's on the wrong one, you just do that twist. It's now on the lower mode, or if it was that it was on the lower mode because you've been doing something, maybe whatever it is you've been doing, being able to change it back or putting it so that it's on strobe is super easy, being able to do it this way. And it's all just that 1/8 of a turn, turn it back, and it will turn it down a mode. 1/8 of a turn, turn it back, it'll turn it back up a mode. If it is that you now want to put this into the hunter mode, so all you need to do is, turn it on, have it so that it's closed, and you need to do that 1/8 of a turn and back again at least a minimum of 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There you go, let's do it 12 times. Hopefully you'll have noticed that it just flashed. Now, with the hunter mode, if you always want to make sure that when it turns on, it's on turbo, you're not really bothered too much about the other settings, just keep it so it's closed. So every time this turns on, turns off now, it's constantly in its turbo mode, which is its 1500 lumens. If you want to use the other modes, which is main 1, which is 40 lumens, main 2, which is 120 lumens, and main 3, which is... Damn it, I forgot. What is it? I don't have to have a look. Main 3, which is 300 lumens. All you have to do is do your 1/8 of a turn. So at this time, it is now in main 1. Turn it off, turn it back on again. We are now in main 2. Turn it off, turn it back on again. We're now in main 3. Turn it off, turn it back on again. We're now in main 1. At any point, if you want to put this back into turbo mode, because we've done that 1/8 of a turn, close it and it's back in turbo mode. So if you're concerned, maybe you just prefer to have turbo on no matter what, and it's always that first mode, if you keep this closed, now by closed I mean you turn the head round until it won't turn anymore. That's its closed position. Its open position is once you've turned it, it's loosened it, and you've just turned it an eighth of a turn. So at this moment in time, we are on. You can see that we're on. If I want to put this back now into its tactical mode, I do exactly the same. I have to do the 1/8 of a turn and back again a minimum of 10 times. Now, the last time I did it 12 times, just to show that if you did it 12 times, it doesn't matter, as long as it's a minimum of 10. So I'll do it 10 times, and hopefully just look at the end and you'll hopefully be able to see that it flashes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just had... Oh, I moved it just before it flashed. So we are now back into the tactical mode. So if I do a 1/8 of a turn and back again, you can see that we're now in main 2. Or if I want to put it into strobe mode, I keep it so that it's on an 1/8 of a turn, and it will always, when it turns back on again, come on to the strobe mode. It's a different way of doing it. However, I really do like it. I think it works really well. Okay, so here we're out in the woods, in my beautiful woods at night, and here we are on main 1. So at this moment in time, I've got this on hunting mode, mainly with hunting mode because you get main 1, main 2, main 3 and turbo, whereas the tactical mode is turbo, and then you can drop that down to main 2 if you want to. So at this moment in time, we are on main 1, and this is 40 lumens. So the tree that's here in front of me, this is maybe about 5 meters away. We've got some more trees going back. The one that is, if you can see where I'm pointing, this one here, that's probably about 10 meters away. But 40 lumens, because the candela on this is so good, you can still see quite a good distance with 40 lumens. Now, you know, I really don't think the camera does a good job just at showing what you can see on this. So what I'll do is, so we're now going to have a look at main 2, so turn it on and back off again. So we're now looking at 120 lumens. This tree that's here now is a lot easier to be able to see. I mean, it wasn't difficult to see before, but then going back, the tree that's now there, that said is about 10 meters away. And then those trees off in the distance, the one there, which, let's say this one here, it's probably about 20 meters away. But I can easily, really easily see trees that are 30 or 40 meters away further down there. But this is the main 2 light mode, which is 120 lumens. Now I can turn us back on and off, off and on again. These trees here, you know, yeah, we can definitely see these. But now the trees down in the distance, if I was to lift this up, it's a really nice warm spot in the middle of there, and you can perfectly see the halo around that. Because as far as spreads is concerned, it's quite a narrow spread. I can catch this all on camera when it's maybe say 10 meters away. So there's that tree that's about 10 meters away, that tree probably there's maybe just a little bit further, but pointing this down there, the distance between those trees is again probably about 7, maybe 8 meters. So you can see that the candela on this really does help to throw this out, and as far as flashlights are concerned, this is a very good thrower. So this is main 3, which is now going out, which is now putting out 300 lumens. The trees that are off in the distance there are now, yeah, very easy to see. If I go further this way, now you can see that we've got further trees off in the distance. It's certainly deeper into the woods there, and seeing trees that are 80, maybe 90 meters away, again becomes really easy. Now trying to do this with one hand, as I mentioned, so you can turn this all the way around so that the main head is locked. I think I'm doing it the right, am I doing it the right way? Let's make sure. Sorry about that, just had to. Right, okay, now we are on the turbo mode, which is our 1500 lumens. Getting back down here again, all of these trees are incredibly easy to see now. You can see the beam of light, the force coming out of this, the light that it's projecting, being able to have that increased candela that you get with this. You can certainly see how this is an absolutely amazing thrower as far as a flashlight is concerned. Coming back round again, all of these trees now, in fact there, so that one that is roughly in the middle is probably maybe 150 meters away. You know, I can see into these trees with ease. If I was using this to certainly to search for somebody, I would not have any issues whatsoever. This is the full turbo mode, which is the full 1500 lumens. Now I'm going to have to do some hand gymnastics, because what I'll do is I'll just swap this back over onto the tactical mode so that we can have a look at the strobes. So let's get that done. So now that we're in tactical mode, this is where that single kind of quarter turn, or I suppose it's an eighth of a turn, will take it from high, which was the 1500 lumens, down to main 3, which is, sorry, main 2, which is the 120 lumens. If you then wanted to put it onto the strobe mode, all you have to do is do that eighth of a turn, and it will put it onto strobe mode. If you want to then be able to swap between the strobe modes, you then close it and then open it back again, that eighth of a turn, and it will then move it between each of those different settings. It's actually really nice. The strobe mode on this, it's not a variable refresh rate, it's just that single one refresh rate. Putting it back then now into the turbo mode, using all of those 1500 lumens. The beam of light, and I will say about this, so I'll just take that off. So let's put it back onto the turbo mode. The beam of light from this, I mean, on the night like this, I'm getting a really nice, because there's a lot of kind of little particulates in the air. But from the reflector on the inside, the quality of the LED and of the lens at the end, the light that this produces is a very high quality light. So now last year, 2022, I had my first experience of Phoenix flashlights, and I know how well loved Phoenix flashlights were, but a lot of it comes down to actually feeling the fibre of somebody's fabric to be able to go, I can 100% see where that quality comes from. I think I've just had another bar set, although let's call it the bar has been set for 2023, and it's been set by Armytek. I say this all the time, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up their arse, but who cares? This is a really nice product. The way in which you have to turn the head to go through the different sections, through the different modes, kind of got me at first. And I was like, I'm not sure I get this. But for a tactical lighter, you always want to make sure that you've got that constant, you know, or at least the turbo. And there's the difference between whether you want this on the tactical mode or the hunting mode, which I suppose is really your everyday EDC kind of mode. And the fact that this can be attached to a rifle, so you're not having to try and work out where the button is because you've not got it perfectly lined up. Once it's on the front of a rifle, turn, your job done. You've got what you need. Instant access to turbo. Certainly from talking to other YouTube friends. Hi Dom, if you're watching. I know other channels certainly appreciate the fact that if, for a tactical light, turbo needs to be there. You don't have to worry about pressing any other buttons by accident. Turbo, you've got it. That's what's required for a tactical light. And you can certainly get that with this. The quality of it is to the highest standards, and that's to the highest standards that the rest of the world put on German products, and the Germans put on themselves to make sure that you get these sort of products. I'm gushing a bit. Well, I'm gushing, maybe that's the wrong word, but I'm very impressed with this, and I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing more from other Armytek products. They have 100% lived up to the reputation of their products, and yes, thoroughly looking forward. I could probably wax lyrical more and more about this, but I think for now I will leave all of the links below so that you can see more from them. I'll leave some of my social media links as well. I did mention, so we also do have a discount code. I did mention it before. I said if you wait till the end, I nearly forgot it then for a second, but there is a discount code if you use code, I've forgotten the code. I forgot the code. What is the code? Moorlander15. If you use the code Moorlander15, I even had it written down, I brought it out with me. If you use the code Moorlander15, you can get 15% off your purchase. Now, that is on the Armytek German site, the .de site, but it's also on the armytek.com. It might not be armytek.com, I'll leave the links below, but the worldwide site, you can also get 15% discount on there as well. I knew I'd forget that. But I might as well leave this in. You know it's me. I forget things all the time, so I just roll with the punches. That's what you do. You just roll with the punches. Anyway, yes, I will leave all of those links below. There is the discount code. Thank you to Armytek for getting in touch, and I really do genuinely look forward to looking at some more of your lights. But for now, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. Recording. I forgot them for a second. Wasn't sure whether I need to press a button. I can also hear small people. Now I don't mean like borrowers, I mean like children. Kids. Anyway. Shoot! Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now, I've got another product that is kind of new to me. Not the Armytek Dobermann Pro.